surprise and delight you. Let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I went to Georgia Tech for mechanical engineering. When I graduated, I wanted to design concept cars, and nobody was hiring for that position at the time, so I did what everyone else was doing in the early 90s, and I went into software development. One of the first products that I worked on was FaxWorks. We had both a Windows and a DOS version. That's how long ago that was, and that was going to replace the fax machine, and now it's been replaced. So that's what I've been doing for 20 years. What is user experience? Well, how many people here are in software industry or in software products? Most of you. So I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn also from industrial design about user experience. And user experience, at least from my point of view, encompasses everything from going to find pickles in the supermarket to getting online to try to book plane tickets somewhere, to getting on the plane and what that experience is like, as well as getting to some airport in a foreign country and finding your way to baggage claim. These are all examples of user experience, and user experience experts, usability experts, will typically examine these situations and try to figure out how to make them more user-friendly, try to remove as many obstacles to people achieving their goals, make as few tasks, a few clicks as possible to complete their task. And that's traditionally what usability and user experience people have done, is try to make things basically suck less for the user. Well, what I would like to propose is that we actually go beyond making things suck less and less frustrating, that we actually create user experiences that surprise and delight the user, and will end up actually making people happier and enjoy using your products more. So first of all, I think that we can go beyond adequate design, and we can make design that makes people happy, that will surprise and delight, and you'll only know this by getting into the heads of your users, what will surprise and delight them. But I would also propose that awesome design that surprises and delights the user, is not only possible, but it's necessary, and it's profitable in the long run. So first, if everybody could get out a piece of paper, we're going to do some exercises during this. So I have paper if anyone needs it, but I think you probably all have some paper. So what are some of the reasons that people aren't kind of coming up with awesome and creative design? Well, Bob McKim is a Stanford design professor, and he's also one of the founders of IDEO, and he used to do this exercise with his students, and I'm going to do it with you now. I want you to take out a piece of paper, and I'll give you 30 seconds, and I want you to draw one of the people next to you. I want you to just draw a quick portrait. Okay, I'm going to start the timer, and when I say go, go ahead and go. Ready? Just draw a person next to you. You've got 30 seconds. Come on. Doesn't have to be great. Just do the best you can. Do you need a pen? You're not drawing. Okay. 15 seconds left. Or draw someone else. Come on. You can draw me, I guess, or someone over there. Okay, now you're done. So, show off your work. Show yourself. Okay. All right, excellent. Well, what McKim says is, you do this in a room full of adults and there's a lot of laughter, and you hear some apologies and people saying, I'm sorry. They're apologizing that they're not more creative when they're designing for you. But if you do the same exercise in a room full of kids, they are so proud of their work, they actually want you to go put it on the refrigerator right away. They don't have any fear of being creative, and they're not afraid of taking creative risks. But as we go, as we get older, we fear judgment of our peers more, and we fear taking creative risks, and we slowly stop doing it. And creative risk is really where awesome design comes from. So we need to start to embrace creative risk in the workplace. So my first contention is that awesome design is definitely possible, and we've seen it. This is a really cool water bottle created by East Fair, and it's a vitamin water. It's very simple and elegant. design, and it's a vitamin water and for kids. And when you're done using it, you can turn it into this cool molecule building sculpture thing. And a lot of times we see awesome design and we wish, oh, I could have thought of that, but we didn't. And awesome design is often simple and elegant too. It's very clever and it makes us smile. It delights and surprises us. Here's another example of something that's cute. It's a typical function item, but it smiles at us and we smile back. And here, a lot of times in design, you can redefine function and redefine how we think things should work. This is a shoe that was designed by architect Zaha Hadid for Lacoste. And the other cool thing about excellent design, we know it when we see it, is it's often unexpected. It might not really be practical all the time, but we know we'd like to have one of these in our house because it's cool and it's whimsical. So what exactly makes design awesome? Well, I would contend it's sort of at the intersection of these 6 places to look. You have to understand your user, you have to know what their expectations are, you have to know what kind of emotional response you're evoking, either memory or a visceral response. It has to encompass the functional requirements, it has to be practical, and you have to consider the context of your user and when the object is being used. So that is how, when you see an awesome design, you know it's awesome, and it tends to fall right there in the middle. However, you can't ever find the answer by looking there, by staring in that spot and saying, I need the right balance of all these things. You can't find awesome design, whether it's software or industrial design, or even designing a storefront. You can't look for it right in the middle. In fact, a lot of times you have something that's really strong in one area and weak in the other, but it tends to merge together. For example, if you've ever had a pen that you really like, right? This is my favorite pen ever, I hope I never lose it. It's got one simple function, but it exceeds your expectations. But it also brings out an emotional element. In the right context, it stops being a pen and it starts turning you into an artist or a writer. It makes you feel more creative, and that it evokes emotion in the user. So how do we find awesome design? Well, I would say we look around the periphery. We ask ourselves new questions. We think about what would happen if this was in a completely different context, if you were sitting on the beach using this product, or if you were in a grocery store, if you had both hands full and you needed to perform this function. You need to ask questions that are around the edges of what your product typically does, and find out what are your users doing when they're not using your product. But a lot of times exploring that avenue will help you come with some really surprising things about how you can make innovations to your products that nobody ever else would have thought of before. So in other words, think differently. So anyway, I would like to say that awesome design is not only possible, we've seen awesome design here, and we've seen it in the world, but we now have products that we want to make awesome too. And you say, okay, well, why should I? Well, the second point I would say is that it's necessary to make awesome design. It's necessary for a couple of reasons, and most of those are consumer trends. One of the consumer trends that I see happening and that people are starting to realize is that there's too many choices out there, and most of them are pretty much the same. I don't know about you, I go into the shampoo aisle, I'm pretty much paralyzed. I look at, there's like 100 different choices, and they're pretty much all the same. And at this point, a lot of people have to rely on marketing in order to sell you their product. They'll say, okay, this one is more expensive, but I'm worth it. Or this one Sarah Jessica Parker uses, and I want to look like her. Or this one smells like strawberries. I think you men have it pretty easy. All you have to do is go to the for men section, and there's like 10 different products there, but they're all pretty much the same as these ones. They're just in black bottles. So one of my contentions is that you need to stand out, right? I think men don't get bothered with the beer aisle for the most part. The other trend that I think is really important to take into consideration is that, especially in America, we have way too much stuff. My daughter told me she wanted a camera for her birthday in October, and I said, I thought you already had a camera. She said, yeah, I can't find it. Because her room pretty much looks like that. But we kind of live in a society keep, and there's so much of it, and there's so many choices. We just get a lot of things, and we don't necessarily need them all or even care about them very much at all. In fact, people hire personal organizers to help them figure out which stuff to get rid of and which stuff to keep and where to put the stuff that they have. I think it's suffocation, and we're all getting overwhelmed by too much stuff. And so people are wanting to streamline, downsize, and have fewer, more special things. So I would say it's necessary, and awesome design stands out. Or as Steve Jobs would say, why join the Navy when you can be a pilot? So that brings me to another exercise, is how do we create products that stand out? So did everybody get a pen and a piece of paper that didn't have one last time? If you can grab a piece of paper. We're going to do another exercise, and this one you get 90 seconds on. And I want you to think of the product that you came here for ProductCamp today, or even if you're a consultant, you're your own product, right? You're selling yourself, or if you have a shop owner, or you're a lawyer or a consultant, you can think of yourself as your product. But I'm thinking even if you're a software product, this is your exercise, and I'm going to get my timer out. I want you to imagine your product is a superhero. Or it's on the cover of a comic book, and you need to try to figure out what are the superpowers that your product has. Who do they rescue? And what do the grateful citizens say when you've done it? Okay, you get 90 seconds. So go. What are your product's superpowers? You can't do it all on a laptop. You got to understand. You have to share. So you'll share. Going down, you'll share what your superhero is like. Okay.
She's a slack. Oh my God, can you steal mine? Nice.
Wow, this is a long 90 seconds, isn't it? Got the cape, got the muscles. All right, and stop. Anybody have any good insights into their product? You said you wanted to share what you already have in mind about your product. So,
well, I think Superman, because it's a combination of all the superpowers.
Well, what are those
Speed.
powers? Can you do walls or?
Speed, invincibility, the ability to see through walls.
And who do you rescue?
You rescue me, of course.
Okay. All right. Well, we can talk about that after. We're going to have a discussion after. Okay. So, I've already told you that I think that awesome design is possible and it's necessary. And I also would like to say that I think it's profitable. But this is the point at which we get a lot of resistance when you say, okay, you all should work really hard and come up with awesome product design. You get a lot of resistance from management who say things like, yeah, but. One of the biggest yeah buts that you get is we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, we don't have enough money. And especially in today's product cycles, we used to have like year-long product cycles where you could, really spend some time in development and really spend some time thinking about these things. But now we try to get things to market as quickly as we can. We have like 3-month product development cycles. We get iterations out quickly, more and more quickly, and it's hard to do things other than just fix the bugs and take the voice of customer feedback and integrate it. But the problem with that is that when we start to integrate all the customer feedback, well, your competitor does this, and we wish you would do this, and you integrate that all into the product, this is where we get a whole bunch of products that are pretty much all the same, instead of starting from scratch and saying, we want something really innovative. So I would say that it is definitely profitable. And here I'm going to give some examples for some of the common resistance that you'll run into. First myth is that awesome design must be complicated to be awesome, right? Well, here's a perfect example of simple website design that surprises and delights people every day. Nothing surprises and delights me more to find when I go to Google's homepage that it's the 40th anniversary of Sesame Street, or that it's Picasso's birthday, or something like that. And Google implemented this simple solution that surprises and delights people all over the world every day, and they actually did it against the advice of their marketing gurus who said, don't mess with your logo, whatever you do. The second myth is that design must be costly to be effective. Rory Sutherland talked about this in his TED Talk, Sweat the Small Stuff. In the UK, they started adding these smiley faces to their speed signs. If you're going over the speed limit, it does a frowny face, and if you're staying within the speed limit, it gives you a smiley face. This has been twice as effective as using these speed cameras that actually would catch you and get your license plate and send you a fine. It's been a lot more effective because nothing surprises and delights a driver more than being validated for being safe on the road and following the rules, right? And there might be some social proof involved here too. You don't want to be driving down the street and be the one that gets the frowny face. So this is a really effective and simple solution, and it's awesome. And here, nothing surprises and delights me more than a millionaire crediting good user interface design for his success. But seriously, the founder of Mint, Aaron Patcher, said that he knew that managing finances was really stressful for people, and that he deliberately set out to make it a calm interface, to not put your net worth flashing in your face first thing. And he really wanted it to be a relaxing, empowering experience for people that were dealing with personal finances. I don't really know how much he spent on his user interface design, but he sold it for $170 million. So I think he got a return on his investment. And that's pretty much it. I think that if we focus on user experience and getting into the user's head and thinking what could surprise and delight them, we could create something awesome. And now I would like to invite you to disagree with me or bring up a discussion or tell me why this is impossible in today's world. Are there any questions? Kristin?
I don't really have a question, but I think a lot of places now are focusing on sustainable packaging and getting rid of all the waste in the packaging. And I think when these companies bring out packaging that's sustainable, it attracts a whole new market and gets a lot of buzz. Like the Sunchip bag is you can recycle that now. There's a lot of just that.
So adding sustainable packaging will surprise people too. Okay.
I mean, it's not necessarily the fact that it's sustainable all the time. Like if you think about what Amazon's doing, where they're pre-assembling toys, and you get the box, so you don't have all of the plastic pieces and all of those things. I think that's really surprising and delighting for parents or whoever, right? So it's taking it a step further. It's being sustainable, but you're also getting these added benefits that are really more about your behaviors and your needs.
Do you have suggestions around how to get through large corporations with, yes, it's Scrum, yes, it's Agile, yes, that might be a good idea, but you have 2 weeks to get it done? Yes, your business owners want something very innovative, but you have 2 weeks to get it done. And how do you get those products actually eventually out the door in a way that they are still surprising and delightful?
That's a really good question, and actually I would like to hear suggestions from the audience here on how to do that, because that's really been my experience working in larger companies too, is that you get a lot of yes, but we need to do this today. So I'd like to hear if other people have suggestions. I would suggest you hire a consultant like me, or a brainstorming facilitator, and then once you pay them, it's your own fault if you don't take their suggestions, or like user insights.
So I think in our case, we have a situation where it's more, we have very educated, very capable, and very talented designers and user experience architects, and we do the usability, and we do the research, and we do the content strategy. We do all of those things that are very important to get your product done, but when it actually goes live, it doesn't generally meet those original criteria, and it's just kind of keeping everyone's spirits high while you're still trying to work through the process. But just if anyone had that magic nugget, I would love to know what that is, to how you get inception through creation and actually get it out the door and still be, as you're saying, surprising and delighting.
I would love for somebody that can help answer that question, because I know it's a major roadblock. I mean, I would like to say you could go up and give a pitch to the CEO and say, it really is profitable, and look, other people really have done it, and it's the only way we're going to stay competitive. But you can say that until you're blue in the face, and then you quit and become a consultant.
Which is what I'm doing right now, so I get that answer.
One of the things that you should consider is not only focusing on the physical experience, but oftentimes people say what they think they want, but it's not necessarily what they really want. So you have to do a little bit more homework to dig deeper and get at that emotional context or that subconscious level to help make your product what they really want, as opposed to what maybe they're voicing. So just, some people take the physical experience or just what is kind of thrown at them in the context, but if you do a little bit more research, you can actually find out that that's not what they really want. So, putting in that extra due diligence to understand the emotional context and all that behind it.
Consumers are not going to be able to tell you what to build or create or design. You'll have to figure that out yourself. If you just ask them what they want, they'll tell you something that will work yesterday, because that's what they know. You have to dig deeper into the consumer's head or the user's head, however you want to refer to it, and understand what their true needs are. What are they struggling with? What problems are they having? That's the nuggets. Those are the spaces you can find innovative new solutions. And then you can bring to bear all of your wonderful creative talents, intelligence, and things you know about your company and products and services, and answer the question, what can we do to make this better, once you fully understand what the problem is. And you won't get that by talking to your users, to your consumers.
I agree, and I think that the question she's asking, even knowing that, even how do you get buy-in?
It's the development challenge. It's how
say,
you build
okay,
it.
Can we spend, a month or a week even on user research and try to get into the user's head? I think one of the other strategies is when you have stakeholders is to try to find some of the things that they are aligned with, that they do believe in, and then try to, position your proposal to spend some time outside the office, looking at a children's museum or something, to get some outside of the regular way of thinking ideas, and then bring those back and say, we really touched on something we think is going to be big. It aligns with your mission for the company or your vision for the company. Yeah.
Well, is your push really on time constraint? Is that really your?
It's more about you really think you have that fabulous idea, and you've done the testing, and you've talked to your users, and you've put amazing designers on the project, and how you actually get it built in a way that's still amazing. So that product, when it goes out the door, really is what you originally planned it to be. And I'm finding, having been in this industry for 15 years, both in product and web, that development stage really can suck a lot of creativity or a lot of promise out of a product.
Are you a product manager?
I actually manage a group of user experience architects, content design, but I just came through about 2 years of being a product manager for $1 billion web product. So both. I kind of straddle that fence at our organization.
Well, the customer keeps raising the bar.
Louder, please.
Yep. So I think the dollar has to impact it. Next topic.
Is the problem in execution?
Yes.
And then I think that something's not being communicated well.
Okay.
And that those who are executing don't fully understand the problem that they are being asked to solve, or they don't relate to the person who this solution is for.
That's perfect. Yeah, they don't relate to it, so it's not important to them.
If you don't do that, you're just throwing things over the wall, and the developers or whoever is executing the thing will look at it and say, well, this is a lot of crap. We're going to build what we want. And you'll ask for a draft and get an elephant every time. And it might even do some of the things you asked it to do, but it probably won't do the most important things. So there has to be strong communication when that handoff is done. In fact, handoff is a terrible word, and you really need collaboration. If you really want to get closer to a strong execution of a brilliant idea, is you need to engage enough of the people who are actually going to execute it in that upfront process. You'll probably come up with a better solution because they'll be able to tell you things that you don't know. And I'm a strong believer in that kind of collaboration. That's what will get you what you expect.
Perfect. Thank you.
So at least get closer to it.
So let me ask this. One of the things that I often try to look at, one of the things that I often look at from a product management standpoint is when we're looking at something that works and we want to make it work better, we look at what pieces of that process can be automated. So that leads to the whole concept of marketing automation, which is an area that I work in personally. But how does that apply to user experience design from the perspective of there's an innovation process that people go through? One of the myths that you pointed out with myth number 3 was that good design has to take a long time, and that's not necessarily true. So my question from some of the experts in the room, because user experience is not my expertise, what are there pieces of that process that you go through to innovate a good experience that can be not automated but made more systematic so that they become more automatic and faster to makes innovation faster when you're taking on a new product? We're in an agile environment at Silver Pop, and so we face that challenge constantly. So I'd be interested in hearing some more on that.
As leader of the Inventors Association of Georgia, always plugging that, we talk to people about the concept of being aware of the materials and manufacturing methods that are available. Because oftentimes people will design things based on those two factors, and they're not being aware of, let's say you're looking at texture of your product, but there might be a new vacuum formable plastic that has a fuzzy texture to it, but you're used to doing things with injection molding. And so you're designing nice design, but the materials or new manufacturing machines might make a whole new shape possible that you couldn't even imagine before. So we've had examples where people brought in tools, and they hadn't thought about the size of the package it would go in, and they hadn't thought about some of the newer methods. We had a guy who had, the problem was laying his golf clubs down on grass. And I just happened to have seen the Golf Channel had an inventors show, an inventors contest. And the guy who won essentially invented a large clothespin that went on the shank of the golf club, creating a three-position kind of a thing. And the next week at our inventors meeting, the guy showed up with a chrome stake with a chrome U on top of it. What's that for? Oh, it's for holding up your golf clubs on the putting green. And I said, I've been looking at this thing for exactly, I haven't seen the Golf Channel. Did you see that? No. But I said, I've been looking at this for 30 seconds, and I immediately think of tent stakes and tent poles made out of fiberglass with an elastic cord. It'd be like a magic wand and folds in your pocket. I never thought of that. So he did a nice design. He had it manufactured, turned out about welding, but the new materials would have given him a whole new option.
I want to add one thing to what you just said, Jason. I think early on in the process, if you do paper prototyping earlier in the process, and you actually do user testing, or even just go coffee shop testing and have people take a look at it, I think the less time you have invested in people writing code, the more likely you are to get some buy-in to change it earlier on in the process. By the time you say you get 90% of your code written, and then you say, let's do some user testing, people are so invested in that chunk of code that nothing will make them want to change it. So early prototyping on user testing often throughout the process.
In our organization, we do two, so we're Scrum and Agile and Waterfall and whatever else can get done to get it done.
Scradglefall.
Scradglefall, that's a great word. Thank you. You are my word of the day now. We try to get at least 2 Scrum sessions ahead of our developers, but we also dedicate 2 of my user experience architects out of 25 and 1 of our designers out of 25 to look at main topics that are important to our company. So that when a month or 2 later, like a reservation flow or a calendar, or hey, one of our competitors has something, we already have it ready to go. It may not be complete and it may not match all of the business requirements, but we have ideas ready to feed the backlog and to feed the product team, and we're not surprised. Or if when we are surprised, we have other things they can work on that helps them feel like they're making progress, and then helps us have more time to spend on those areas that would take a little bit more time. But completely agree, good design does not need to take years and months, and can get done in a couple weeks in Scrum process and Agile.
So, woman back here, did you answer? Oh, and over here.
So one of my experiences recently, at least, has been that the designers and the developers and even the management all feel strong ownership over the product, and so the designers are saying the designers want one thing, and they feel the ownership and they want everything to be that way, and the developers, they also feel ownership and they want things to be their way, and the management has ownership, they want things to be their way. So for me, just getting them, as the gentleman down there said, getting them sort of, that ownership is really powerful, so getting them to sort of agree on that and agree on what the product is has really helped. And then also, as we encounter problems for Agile, as we encounter problems, it's easy to sort of say, here's a solution, and end the discussion early, and we've started to develop the process of talking through it until we all agree on, like, here's an awesome idea that's even better than everything we've come up with so far, that's innovative, that's going to really get us, either solve the development problem or solve the design problem that we're going to.
I agree. I think that's also a good reason to have really well-facilitated brainstorming sessions, so that you don't come into the product cycle with one person's idea, where everybody's sort of gone into a room and collaborated on ideas, so that they can be everybody's idea and not just one person's, and then move from there.
But sometimes that's where things can go awry, because you know more than your user, and so the user isn't prepared for the experience you're about to deliver. So you just have to be careful to walk the line between what your design expectations are versus your end user.
Which is testing often, and then reiterating. So the town hall discussion, keep discussing. I would love to hear from somebody that works in a big company that did something really innovative and pushed their idea through, and is now a champion of innovative thought. Are you here? Or right?
Came up one time for slot machines with my last company. So I said, well, how can we improve the slot machine experience? Either when you find Vegas and Atlantic City, how can you improve that experience? So I brought it to my managers and said, we should have like a bathroom button. Nobody likes to leave that machine. And if you're a big time user and they keep track of this, and the casinos know who you are, and you have these little cards, you can hold the machine for 15 minutes and then the money will go back to your account. And it would lock the machine up. Well, my staff laughed at me. And 2 months later, one of the business journals, our competitors came out with the exact same product. That 15-minute break, and makes a better user experience.
So what would you have done differently?
Take my product to another factory, I guess.
Jumped up and down and held your breath.
Well, sometimes you just have to find the right champion. Your voice isn't loud enough. You've got to solicit all of those champions within your organization to get it heard. And that's the key, getting it heard.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Keith Duncan. I've been designing computer systems for about 30 years. 2 years ago, I came up with an idea to use a web camera as an overhead projector. So this is actually a sample stand here. I've been videotaping the conversation going directly to the computer, and then you've got it where you can distribute it. What I have now is a patent on a stand that holds the web camera looking downward, so when you interact with your audience in a sales environment or demonstrating your product, you can put your product or whatever you want directly into the camera and visually let people see what you're talking about. works particularly good when you're up at the podium or lecturing and you're mapping out the conversation with your audience. So I just wanted to give you some ideas on how to visually communicate your information to your clients and customers.
Thank you.
I just have a comment that, any product is designed to solve a problem. But when you put good design into it, it makes it memorable, and that's what's really going to make the difference with getting your customers to come back to you. Like those water bottles that you had up there. That's, delivering a vitamin water, but you're going to remember how special that experience was and be likely to buy it again. So we're trying to achieve that with my company, which is a party supplies company. And I love the concept. I'm going to start incorporating some of this in our web content about wanting to delight our customers with the beauty of our product over, the stuff that you can buy at Party City.
Right, and delight them with the shopping experience too, as opposed to just a Party City website that has just stuff everywhere. I mean, if you try to think about who the person is, right, that's buying party supplies, they're trying to create an awesome birthday party for their kids. Trying to ask these other questions. Well, why? They want to be a great mom. They want to have great pictures. They want all the other moms to think they're the coolest mom on the block. Whatever. There's motivations beyond I just want to buy some cups and saucers, right? That you can really exploit, I guess, or just explore in order to make that experience really empowering for the user. And I think that for a lot of websites, that's just something that they don't think about. Another example is I did a website for people that sold athletic shoes, and I said, well, what are they buying? Oh, high-end, expensive running shoes. I said, well, are they running marathons? Are they doing triathlons? Are they hashers? Are they first-time runners, long-time runners? And they didn't have the answers to any of these things. And of course, when you can create some personas about who the people are that are buying it, you can really cater that experience to them. If you're spending like $100, $200 on running shoes, you kind of want to have that experience catered to you, and it helps to know who they are, and really can make a big difference in creating a web experience that takes that into account.
This is something I hope is relevant. I just walked in here, so might just lost. But just in terms of user experience, this is something I don't understand why it's not done more. But I called Apple customer support like 2 months ago or something, and you call and they say, call or online, and they just said, well, we will call you back in 15 minutes, and that is, I mean, it could have been 30 minutes, but the difference between waiting on hold for anything greater than 1 minute and you can wait 30 minutes and have somebody call you back, completely different user experience, and something I thought was good.
Yeah, and it's different, right? It surprised and delighted you, didn't it?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we're wrapping up. Is there any more questions? I think it's 2:40. Thank you. Oh wait, no, Karen. Sorry.
I think a big thing that we see, and we do a lot of user research and user experience research, is if a client and a product manager and the company is planning for research and planning to use users along the process to inform what they're doing, everything goes so much better than if it's oh, I need to check this off, or at the end, oh my gosh, we need to get clients to sign, or users to sign off on this. Because when you get to the end and you do the research at the end of your cycle, you're not willing to fix much because you've already got all the development done, you've already figured out what you're going to do, maybe your training manuals are already written, so you're really not going to make that many improvements. If you do it earlier upstream, or you actually are planning for this and people are prepared for it and they know that, okay, at some point we're going to be getting some feedback that may be good or may be bad, but they're mentally prepared for it, then you can integrate it so much easier into your process. So I think as product roadmaps are being made, if you're planning research along the way or some sort of feedback, then people are expecting to have that pause or that moment where they might need to do some revamping.